Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to rate the 7-game NBA Made Slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL sites on Draftkings. I'm now making videos for NBA Top Shot as well. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast. I have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I'll offer them patreon.com an esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, as well as an NBA package. And finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. At the moment, they do not have any NBA contests up, but they will have some probably either later tonight or for sure throughout the day tomorrow. But the idea is you are taking over/under on fantasy points. And these will move throughout the day. Again, they have MLB. Opening day is tomorrow. So they have esports, they have everything. So if you guys want to sign up, you just go DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You will get 100% match up to $100. You put $100 in, you will get a free $100 to play with, or $200 total. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So before we talk about players and the prices for the 7-game slate, let's look back lineup here from Wednesday. Wednesday was stressful, guys, stressful. So man, I was going back and forth on what I wanted to do, and I actually made a correct pivot for once in my life. And I don't know if I got lucky because of an injury. So what I was debating on was back and forth of, do I want to go Houston, Brooklyn stack, or do I want to just go more focus on Toronto, Utah? And I ended up going with more focus on Toronto, Utah, just because I got to a lineup that I was happy with Harden, with Wood, with Kevin Porter Jr. I'm looking at him, okay, this is a good lineup. And then, but like with about 10 minutes before the game started, I realized, oh wait, I have no Toronto players in my lineup. I was like, I cannot have that. So I had to rearrange stuff. I kept trying to get like one of like Wood or Harden in there to get different, and I couldn't. So I just played a pretty chalky lineup. And so we can go over it. Van Fleet, Kevin Porter Jr., Joe Ingles, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher, Mike Conley, OG Anunoby, and Jordan Clarkson. So I literally played 4 Raptors, 3 Jazz, and Kevin Porter Jr. Now, again, I told you guys I got very lucky pivoting off Harden. If you played Harden tonight, I feel for you. I mean, he was chalk. He was, I don't know what he was in this tournament. I want to say like 30, 40% owned. Whereas, I do want to mention, though, Kyrie Irving, 1%. Told you guys that was an interesting pivot, right? Because everyone was looking to Harden. Everyone looking to Harden revenge game narrative. And no one looked at Kyrie Irving. So he was a great tournament play if you did play him. Again, 1% owned in this one. But so Van Fleet was really good. Now, did get lucky here for sure, right? 4 blocks and 5 steals? 100% got lucky with Van Fleet going for 50 plus with those peripheral stats. Kevin Porter Jr. was all right. Honestly expected a little bit more. Houston, surprisingly, they kept in it, and it was a little more of a balanced attack, which I really thought we would see big games with Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood. I mean, both were solid, but again, it was a little bit more spread out. The Utah Jazz guys, I was really just combining them based as one player. So I was like, all right, I'm playing all 3. I don't care, what happens. If one guy's a bad game and like the other 2 have good games, fine. And that's basically what happened, right? Conley had an amazing game. Clarkson had played great, and Joe Ingles was a little bit disappointing. But if I added those 3 scores up and divided them by 3, it was like 36. It was like, hey, I'll take all that at, mid 5K range for all those guys. So yeah, went with the Utah stack there. Pascal Siakam was the chalk, 50%, as he should have been, and he was just a letdown in a good matchup. A little bit disappointing there. Chris Boucher, I expected more minutes. He only played 19 minutes. I was thinking we get mid-20s. If he gets mid-20s, definitely goes for over 30, so a little bit tilted there. OG Anunoby had a really good game. Went for 48 fantasy points. So as Siakam struggled, it was OG that really picked it up. And yeah, that's really it for the look back, guys. So again, I used literally 4 Raptors, 3 Jazz, and Kevin Porter Jr. If you played James Harden tonight, I feel for you. That sucks. Injuries are the worst. It really does. It suck. You can for sure tilt about it. I would be very tilted if I played James Harden. He wasn't on pace for a massive game, but he would have gone for 50 plus easily. He was on pace probably for mid 50s. So yeah, that sucks. And one more thing is contest selection. So I just entered the big tournament because it was like 100K to first. I was like, oh, screw it. Why not? I'm in the top 10%, and I'm only winning 1.5x, right? This is a $100 entry. I'm winning 150. So I'm only winning $50 profit just because the payout structure. That's why I prefer those smaller tournaments, smaller single entry tournaments. Much easier to win big money in those as compared to the big entries like this. Plus, again, it's harder to make a lot of money unless you hit like literally the top like 0.01%. But that's a video for another day. So, all right, that's a look back, guys. Let's take a look at the 7-game slate. I think we only have one game out right now. It's Golden State, Miami. It's a 220 over under. The Heat are 2.5-point favorites. All right, so starting off with Philly and Cleveland. On the Philadelphia side, still no Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons at the top. I will probably continue to fade. He's been really disappointing. Cleveland is not great defensively, but they play a little bit slower. I don't really have interest in Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris would be the guy if I was going to spend up for someone on the 76ers side, but I don't think either are a priority for me. I don't. Dwight Howard. So, ejection, and then blowout here. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup. I think he'll probably come with the bench. Either way, I would think we get probably mid to high 20s minutes in a close game for Dwight. So an intriguing play in the mid-range I think does go overlooked because people will box score watch. But I do have some interest there in Dwight. Danny Green, Seth Curry, Shake Milton, kind of just passes here. And Mike Scott's been playing some of the 5 as well. I guess you can use him as a punt play, but I don't really feel super confident with that one. Moving on to Cleveland. So no Jared Allen, no Larry Nance, and Kevin Love questionable. I think even if Kevin Love plays, he's not going to play a ton. So I think the guy that stands out is Isaiah Hartenstein. And I talked him up in the last slate. He was low owned, gotten literally 2 fouls in the first 30 seconds, but still got there even with the foul trouble. Went for 35 fantasy points. Yeah, he's just a solid point per minute guy. Assuming he starts to the center again, I don't see how you get away from Hartenstein. So, yeah, absolutely love Hartenstein here. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think he's the best value at the moment. And then if there's no Kevin Love, Dean Wade will play some of the backup 5. He played 31, 34 minutes. I think he's an okay play at that price. I think Chetty Osman didn't even play, I'm pretty sure, the last game. He didn't. He was out of the rotation. They used, who did they use? Where is he? Lamar Stevens, I think played a little bit of the 5. He played 21 minutes. Oof. Cleveland is just, they are terrible. But, yeah, really, it's Hartenstein the main interest there. And then the 2 guards are viable tournament plays just because they're going to play big minutes. With Sexton, with Garland. Again, this is not a good team, but, hey, these guys should play mid-30s minutes. They're fine GPP plays. Washington, Detroit. So big news, obviously, Brad Beal. If he continues to be out, going right back to Westbrook and not thinking twice about it. Clear play. If you played Russell Westbrook without Brad Beal, you are a bold man. I will not be doing that. So, yeah, Westbrook, love him if there's no Beal. And then the value. So, assuming Royal Nuttau is out too, I think Jerome Robinson looks good at 3.5. He played 36 minutes last game. We talk about Denny. We talk about Denny here. 1 of 10. And I played him. Let's see if it's on here. I played him another time too when he was low owned. I don't think it's on here. He literally shot 0 of 8 or something. So combined, I've gotten Denny games 1 of 20. And that is the risk with a guy that really doesn't do much besides shoot threes. Yes, he'll get some rebounds, but yeah. So Denny Avdija, assuming he doesn't shoot 10% again, I think is a solid value play if obviously Beal and Rule Neto are out because Washington, they have no one else to play. So Denny, Jerome Robinson, Robin Lopez had a big game. He played 27 minutes. He should play the backup 5. Detroit is a bigger team, right? They have Plumlee, they have Isaiah Stewart. So I do think Washington will use a combination of Len, Lopez for the 48 minutes. Len probably the better point per minute guy, but his minutes usually are way more in fluctuation. Robin Lopez is a guy that I would say safe to play 20 to 25 minutes. So Lopez probably the safer option than Alex Len. You can use Len for tournaments. Rui, I think, is a good play in the mid-range. Again, this is assuming Brad Beal's out. He'll be the number 2 in offense. He'll play 35 to 40 minutes. So that's some of my thoughts. Not really interested in Chandler Hutchinson or anyone else on this team. Cassius Winston did play a little bit. He played 11 minutes, but not enough for me to consider him. If Brad Beal's in, then I'm off the value. Then I'm off Rui Hachimura. And then it'll just be the top 2 guards for me. So really the Beal news changes everything. Moving on to Detroit. So Jeremy Grant, yes, I know. He had a big game. Be careful here. Be careful. 30 real-life points. Not doing a ton of the peripheral stats. Again, lately, Jeremy Grant has been very scoring dependent. So I agree. This is a phenomenal matchup. Another situation, though. People are going to look at that 47 fantasy points, and they're going to chase it, even in a good matchup. I don't think it's a terrible play. But like I said, if he's not shooting the ball well, we've seen some low floor games from Jerami Grant. So I think he's a good tournament play. But be careful, right? If he's not hitting his shots, we've seen a pretty low floor from Jerami Grant recently. Plumlee, Sadiq Bey, no. Josh Jackson, no. Hamidou Diallo off the bench has a back-to-back good games. 43, 36 fantasy points. I'm expecting mid-20s minutes from him. Now, can he get that done in that time? Yeah. Can he get it done in that time? Yes. Do I expect him to continue to shoot lights out? No. Again, he's a good offensive player. So I think Diallo is like a fair play, a guy that does have some upside, but another guy that's been running really hot last couple games. Also, keep an eye on guys like Dennis Smith Jr., Wayne Ellington, and Magruder. If all those guys are out, then we have like Saben Lee, Corey Joseph. Now, Saben Lee lost minutes. I think he only played 20 minutes, which is not a great sign. But normally he's a guy who's been playing mid-20s minutes in the starting lineup. Then Corey Joseph off the bench. Mentioned him as a value play tonight. 28 minutes, 1 for 29 fantasy points. He's been pretty solid. So I think Kojo's a guy either way that is in play. Isaiah Stewart off the bench, probably gets around 20 minutes, but I don't know if we have to go there in the slate. And yeah, that's it for Detroit. Let's move on to Charlotte and Brooklyn. This is a game I definitely think you can stack. On the Charlotte side, Rozier, Hayward at the top, both look pretty solid because of the matchup. Rozier has been really good since LaMelo Ball went down. Gordon Hayward has been a little bit more up and down, but the upside is there. So I think both are pretty solid plays. Maybe Rozier slightly safer based off recent performance, but again, I like both because of the matchup. I think Devontae Graham's a pretty safe play in the mid-range. Now, he did only play 29 minutes, which is a little bit worrisome. Wasn't really in foul trouble because the previous game he played 39, but 34 in regulation. So depends on the minutes. Right? If he's going to play 35 minutes, I like him a lot better. If he only plays 29, not as much. So yeah, Graham I think is a decent play in the mid-range. If he plays like a mid-30s minutes, he looks even better. PJ was like chalk on FanDuel. He got in foul trouble. I'm telling you, anytime it's chalk PJ Washington, you have to fade. You have to fade. You guys remember that earlier in the season when it was, I forget who they were playing, but everyone is out for Charlotte and he's still busted after the previous game went for like 60 plus. Bridges, don't think we have to go there. Monk currently questionable. Cody Zeller had a big game last game, but that was Bismack or PJ foul trouble. Previous games, 16, 12, 11 minutes. So it's like, I don't know if I feel super confident with that. And then, Cody Martin got some run with no Malik Monk, but he's not a great point per minute guy. So really my main interest is the top guys, right? Rozier, Hayward, Devontae Graham. Moving on to Brooklyn. So James Harden, again, fortunate he got injured tonight. I don't expect him to play. It's a back-to-back. We'll see. Now, Kyrie Irving has also been sitting back-to-backs recently. So I kind of hope he plays, because if he plays, Kyrie is a clear spend up on the slate. But if Kyrie Irving misses, then we got to deal with the headache of the secondary Brooklyn guys, and I really don't want to do that. I really, really don't. So I'm praying one of Harden or Kyrie play here. Obviously, if Harden's out and Kyrie plays, love Kyrie. If Kyrie's out and Harden surprisingly plays, then I love Harden. But if both guys are out, then we got to consider value. So a guy like Bruce Brown at 4.7 would probably play around 30 minutes, and he would be, I think, my favorite value play for the Nets. The issue with Blake Griffin is, yes, he's been all right, but he's only been playing about 20 minutes. So, yeah, viable. Joe Harris' role doesn't really change. I mean, Jeff Green can have upside, but not, like, super consistent. DeAndre Jordan, the minutes are trending way down. I think Nick Claxton's the other guy, the Valley guy I have some interest in. Played 21 minutes tonight. He's been a decent point per minute guy, so I think he's intriguing. Aldridge isn't going to play in this one. Shamet questionable. And then, like, probably if both those guards are out, probably Tyler Johnson would start and would be a viable value play, but he has struggled recently. Chiozza has actually been the better one off the bench when both those guards have been out. So, yeah, those guys would be in play too. Again, I really don't want to consider it. If Harden's out and Kyrie plays, it's probably going to be Kyrie for me, and that's it. Maybe a guy like Bruce Brown, maybe Claxton, but I don't really want to go there. If all three of the main guys are out, then yes, we got to consider these secondary guys for Brooklyn. Golden State, Miami, I'll make this one really quick. I have basically no interest in this game. Golden State, Steph Curry, 9.6K. Yes, viable on any slate, but not a good matchup. Absolutely not in Wiggins. I know he's been good recently. Draymond Green, I could see getting to him, but I don't like the matchup here. On the Miami side, there's not much. Victor Oladipo expected to play. With Oladipo playing, downgrade Jimmy Butler, downgrade basically everyone else in this lineup. Goran Dragic, yes, he's been starting, but only been playing like mid-20s minutes. There's nothing here. Yeah, Duncan Robinson had a good scoring game, a good shooting game last game. I'm not chasing that. So I will be avoiding this game probably. Moving on to Orlando and New Orleans. Man, you guys know my feeling on this Magic team. Oh boy. So besides Michael Carter-Williams, everyone played less than 30 minutes. They really spread out the run. Terrence Ross played 26 minutes. I don't know if I'm interested if he's only played that amount of time. Michael Carter-Williams, again, the only player that played over 30, played 32. A fair play in the mid-range. A guy that can stuff a stat sheet. Chuma Okeke, or did he play 30? He played 28. So really, like Okeke, Carter-Williams are probably the guys I would consider. No thinking of Bacon. His minutes went down with Ross back. Otto, Wendell, Birch. It's just there's too many guys playing right now, and not like no one is really playing big minutes. So I'm probably going to avoid these Orlando guys. Again, I think MCW, Chuma Okeke are the only guys I'm really considering. On the Pelican side, so keep an eye on this, right? This will change the entire slate. Zion Williamson, questionable. Lonzo Ball, questionable. If they are both out, love the Pelicans. NAW, Ingram, Josh Hart, even Bledsoe, all become phenomenal plays if Zion and Lonzo Ball are out. So, again, we got to monitor this news. If they're both in, then it's probably Zion for me at the top, and then I don't know if anything else really stands out. So again, this will definitely change the entire slate. If Lonzo's out, again, NAW will start at the point guard. He'll play mid-30s minutes, so I guess he'll be viable either way. You guys know I'm a big NAW fan. Kira Lewis is playing the backup point guard. He's actually been playing pretty well, the rookie. I would think we get around 20 minutes from him if you want to get really risky in tournaments. If Lonzo's out, you can take a dart there. But, let's see. Where's Jackson Hayes? He's at 3-2. How many minutes has he been getting? He played 18 the last game. He'll probably play the backup 5, but I don't think we have to go there either. So, yeah, just keep an eye on Zion and Lonzo, right? They're both out. Then Ingram, NAW, Hart, even Bledsoe all look really, really good. Moving on to Atlanta and San Antonio. So, no John Collins. Then Clint Capella is a pretty solid play. He gets a massive boost without John Collins. He played 35 minutes the last game, so I do like Capella a good amount at that price. And Trae Young at 9.4K. Yes, it feels a little bit pricey, but hey, without John Collins, that's a pretty high usage guy out of this offense. So Capella, Trae Young, I think both look pretty good. Also, Bogdan Bogdanovic had a massive game. He played 37 minutes after 21 and 23 the previous two. I think that was partly due to John Collins going down and partly due to him playing really well. So what I expect minutes-wise for Bogdan, I don't think we get 37 again, but maybe around 30-ish, which would make him in play at this price. Gallinari, sure. He probably does play a little bit more. No John Collins. I think a fair play in the mid-range. Keep an eye on Hunter. If he comes back, then obviously like downgrade guys like Bogdan, Gallinari. No interest in Herter. Yes, like Tony Snell, Solomon Hill will probably soak up some minutes, but I will never play either of those two guys on DraftKings. All right, moving on to San Antonio. San Antonio is a team I do kind of like on the slate. Mentioned DeMar DeRozan as a sneaky play tonight. Even in a blowout, went for 42 fancy points. Again, a guy that is pretty consistent with his ability to stuff the stat sheet. He's been their best player this year. I think DeMar DeRozan is a pretty good play. DeJounte Murray should also play 30 to 35 minutes. A guy can stuff the stat sheet, up-tempo game. So the top two guys for the Spurs I do like. Don't mind Derek White, but I think I'd rather get to DeRozan or DeJounte Murray. And then Jakob Poeltl, another guy that he was in my original build actually. Pivoted off him, but he's been really good. 38, 40, 36 fancy points. A guy that should play around 30 minutes. This Atlanta team is a bigger team. So, yeah, I do like Jakob Poeltl again in the mid-range. And then no interest in Keldon. Like Rudy Gay and Patty Mills, depends on the rest of the slate. Like these guys are okay value options. Rudy Gay is a guy that's going to play about 20 minutes and probably get you around 20 fancy points. And then Patty Mills is a guy that would, I think, gets mid-20s minutes and probably get you around, again, 15, 20-ish fancy points. So both those guys are in play for value if not a lot opens up throughout the day. And I will mention Gorgie Jang went down, so Drew Eubanks played the backup 5. I'm thinking we get around 15 to 18 minutes from him. He's mid-price. I think he's viable because of the price point. Last game, Denver and the Clippers. So if you played Jokic like myself, that was very tilting. He actually had a good game, but they just doubled and tripled him every time. So he had to kick it out to guys like MPJ and Jamal Murray, who had really good shooting games. Now, assuming the Clippers don't like double team him every time, I think Jokic is a good play at the top. I know, again, Jamal Murray, MPJ, they both had good shooting games, but I don't think every single team is just going to double team Jokic. So I'm probably not going to go to either. No thank you on Aaron Gordon. No thank you on Barton. Really not much else I like on Denver. Finally, the LA Clippers. So we already have news that Paul George is out. Then Kawhi Leonard is a really safe play. He really hasn't flashed like the huge upside with Paul George out, but it's there. It's there. I could see it happening this game. So I do like Kawhi a good amount. I think he's a safe spend up with some upside. Now, keep an eye on Marcus Morris. If Marcus Morris is out, then I like a lot. Either way, I think the secondary plays are in play. But especially if Marcus Morris is out, guys like Reggie Jackson, Man, Batum. Now, Reggie's probably the guy that has the most upside. He played 34 minutes. He did not shoot well, 6 of 18, and still went for 31 fantasy points. So Reggie's the guy that I think of like the value guys probably has the most upside here for the Clippers. Again, Ivica Zubac at 5'8", Denver's a big team. I think as long as he stays out of foul trouble, he'll probably play mid-30s minutes. The concern is there's a decent chance he does get in foul trouble against Jokic. Again, Batum, Man, both those guys are decent plays. If Marcus Morris is out, if Marcus Morris is in, then they're kind of secondary options. Kennard is a guy that has been starting for Paul George, 32, 33 minutes. Assuming he starts again, I actually think he is a pretty good value. A little bit reliant on the scoring, but he should play over 30 minutes, and for that reason, I think he's in play. And yeah, Pat Patterson ate a little bit of minutes last game, but he's just not a great point per minute guy, so I'm probably not going to go there. I think Amir Coffey sniffed the rotation too, but that might be getting a little bit too cute going to either of those guys at min price. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't go live. Again, I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow before lock to answer all your guys' questions, so make sure to check it out. And let's aim for 150 likes on this video, guys. If we can get there, would greatly, greatly appreciate that. But thanks again. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys all.